Hello and welcome to week 11 of my podcast, I Am Not Worthless, the weekly podcast where I discuss random topics. Today's episode is about math, and it's the math of gambling, risk, and expected value. Every month, every day, it feels like, I'm sure, millions of people flock to various cities around the world: Las Vegas, Beijing, Hong Kong, Atlantic City, for going to casinos. The question is, why do they go to the casino if they know that most of the time they're going to lose money? Casinos don't rely on luck or superstition. It's just about large numbers. Because there's millions of people betting money, that amount of money, plus the fact that there's an edge to it, there's a house edge, means that millions of dollars bet gives them millions of dollars in revenue. So the amount that people win gets offset more by how much they lose. So the first question is, how do we get the house edge? How do we get that number? Well, it's basically from expected value. If basically it's a fair game, let's take flipping a coin. If you guess heads and it lands on heads, you get $1. If it lands on tails, though, you lose that $1. So basically you're guaranteed to win nothing overall, because you can either win $1 or lose $1. So it's the win and then loss. So you take how many wins you could have, and then how many losses you have, add them up. If it's an even game, 50-50 shot of winning, it's expected value equals 0. There's no house edge. No casino in the world operates on a $0, 0% house edge. Most of the time you're looking at between 2 and 5% house edge. Depends on the casino, depends on the country as well. I don't know every country's gambling laws. I do know in America, I don't think they actually limit what you could do, but I wouldn't be surprised. Now, for roulette, there's a difference between the American version of roulette and the European version of roulette. European roulette wheels only have 37 pockets. 1 through 36, 18 red, 18 black, and a single 0. America, however, adds another 0, which is the double 0, and now you have 38 pockets. So to win $1 in America, you have a 47.37% chance, basically 47% chance to win your dollar back. But you have a 52.6% chance to lose that dollar. So the house edge works out to be 5.26%. So basically every time someone spins a roulette wheel, the casino earns 5.26 cents, basically a nickel for every spin. You add that up to 1 billion spins a day, and that's just roulette. You have all these other games as well. Now each game at the casino has different house edges. Slot machines, depends on who designed the machine, because it's a random number generator, or basically a random picture, I guess you could say too. It's 600 spins an hour, sometimes probably even faster. So your house edge is 2 to 15%. And because of how quickly the game goes, how quickly it pops up, your mind is going to keep playing because it's like, wait, I'm not done. I'm still winning, or I'm winning, or I'm not winning yet, but I'm getting there. And so it tricks you into putting more effort in to try to win. So you get bankrupt faster. Like we said with American Roulette, you have a 5.26% house edge. So your player win percentage there is 47%, like we said. The double zero breaks the 50-50 odds. European Roulette has a 1%, almost 2% higher win probability, so their house edge is only 2.7. So players can last longer because there's less risk. The next high percent chance of winning would be craps at 49%. The house only has a 1.41% house edge. So if you had to pick any game at the casino, craps would be the best one to choose if you're just looking purely at the odds of winning. And actually, there is a way to have a 0% house edge, depending upon how you actually bet. Blackjack is one of the worst for the casinos because the house edge there is only 0.5%. If we're talking just about basic, everyday blackjack. No, not special rules, not fancy anything. It's just regular blackjack. And the reason is because at tables with players who are highly skilled at blackjack, they take away the dealer, who's the house, which acts last, because usually that gives the house the advantage. But at the table with the best players, because if you've got a table of 5 people who, let's be honest, should not be gambling because they don't know how to play, versus the table of basically people who that's their entire day, Monday through Friday, is they play blackjack. Now, Texas Hold'em is purely based on the players. The house has no edge because the house isn't involved. You're only playing against other humans. So your odds there are dependent upon skill. How good are you at both bluffing and holding on to your cards, knowing that that there's a chance that you might not have the best hand. Now, what gamblers will fall into is, for example, what's called the gambler's fallacy. I'm sure we've all heard this, either on TV, movies, or at an actual casino. Red hit 6 times in a row. It's got to be black. Got to go black. And no. It's 47%. Just like it was the first 6 spins. The roulette wheel is an inanimate object. It has no memory. It doesn't care about red, black, 000, any of that. It only cares about nothing. It's a machine. Now, some people can argue and might argue that they have, the balls are weighted differently, or the house does something to make it better for them. And I'm not going to say that's not possible. So, and then the other direction is, what if you are playing and you're winning? hand after hand after hand, or spin after spin after spin, or roll the dice, roll the dice, roll the dice, and you're like, yeah, I'm getting hot, and it's like, you have to know when to quit. You have to know when to quit, otherwise you're going to run the risk of thinking that this can never break. And as we all know, statistics do not care. Eventually it will run out and you will lose your money. If you don't stop at some point during your hot streak, you will eventually start going on a losing streak and lose, if not more money than you've actually won. And so my advice and my opinion of casino and gambling is, if you are in a hot streak, stop at a certain dollar amount, stop at a certain number. That way you can walk out with a win and you don't end up losing money. Now, slot machines do something that I'm sure we've all had happen to us. If we've played video game slot machines, if we've played computer games that have slot machines in them, they would, the spin will happen and you'll get cherry, and you're like, oh, I'm going to win. And then you see cherry go one tick lower and it's lose. So you get that hit of almost, and then you fail. You don't get any money. Now, how can we know when we're going to lose? You can have a positive expected value, meaning you are winning more than the house is. But if you bet aggressively and continue to bet aggressively, you could hit bankrupt faster. And the way to take that is basically take the probability of winning with the payout odds, and then subtract that with 1. That'll give you a decimal. Divide it by the payout odds, and that will basically tell you what chance you have of going bankrupt. Now, card counters are illegal in casinos, but what they'll do, what their goal is to make it to where the house edge is so small for them that they can maximize the amount of money they earn by playing against the house and playing against the odds and making the odds in their favor. Now, the expected value equation that we talked about, the expected value of the house, we can actually take that and apply it to other things in our real world life. Insurance. You are paying the insurance company money in case of something happening. You don't get that money back. So their expected value is that premium. Stock markets. Stocks that are high, that are making money, have a positive EV for the customer, the stockholder. And if it's negative, if it's shrinking, your EV goes down. And so based on where it is, you've got people either putting more money down, or pulling money back. And so it's going to fluctuate even more, just like what happens in the casinos, where let's say somebody's getting hot at the blackjack table. Then you're going to see other people come to the blackjack table to play blackjack because that person's hot and they think they're going to get hot. And so it creates this volatility where you think, oh, I can take that luck and bring it on myself. And the last thing is personal risk. I'm sure everyone at some point in their life has looked at a stairwell, looked at a gap on a hiking trail, and thought, I think I could get it. I could jump over it. Or in a basketball game, they think, I got a chance to make the shot. You calculate your own expected value for that shot. A lot of times people overinflate it, overthinking their skill. But that's the same basic concept. You're taking risk and figuring out, what is my risk in this situation? Now, at the end of the day, gambling ultimately is a risk. If you're calculating risk of making the gap in a hiking trail, shooting a three-point shot in basketball, not much risk there. Maybe ego, maybe pride, maybe injury, depending upon what the actual thing is. But with casinos, you need to understand and remember that they are not designed to give you money. Because think about it. If a casino gives you more money than they take, a casino will close down. In fact, actually, that's what happens with casinos that are shut down, is they lost their house edge. Thank you so much for being here this week for my I Am Not Worthless podcast. Next week, we're going to do a video game topic. Which is basically, we're going to look at the heavy-hitting video games that have sold the most, and also the platforms that have sold the most, and what game has sold the most on that platform. Thank you so much for watching. See you next week. Peace out.